Hey everybody, Jessica Correa here from Random Acts of Green. I am going to be hosting a Pass the Mic session today with our friend from the Diverse Nature Collective, Patricia Wilson. Just give me one moment as I set it up here and invite her to the room. So, as one of our vision actually is to build a global, by that I mean a global and local community that empowers everyone to take climate action together, no matter your skin color, your occupation, where you live, your age. We really want to empower people to all come together and take action as a collective climate community. And as one of those pillars, we have committed to providing diverse and inclusive content. And as part of one of our 11 promises, we are amplifying different avenues and influencers and accounts to help them get the word out and use our platform as a method to actually provide a space to create the space that we want for voices. And I'm joined here today by Patricia Wilson, and she is the founder, hello Patricia, of the Diverse Nature Collective. We got hooked up here, no problem. So happy to see you.
Good to see you too.
Yeah, so we're just going to introduce you. Actually, you want to introduce yourself, and then just let me know what is the Diverse Nature Collective, and just introduce yourself to our followers.
Awesome. Well, I'm super happy and excited to be here. So my name is Patricia Wilson. I am the founder of Diverse Nature Collective, which is a social enterprise that is dedicated to amplifying and mobilizing BIPOC voices within the environmental movement and conservation and the conservation sector. So basically what we're hoping to do and hoping to achieve is getting more voices involved within our local community in conservation work, getting folks trained with skills that are to help them get jobs in this industry and field, and just also create this network of awesome people who want to see other folks that look like them out in nature and get outside with each other and explore nature. So that's kind of the hope of what we're doing.
And it is Black History Month, so it's great to be having these discussions. And so could you tell us, how did you how did you get this idea? When and where did your relationship with nature begin? And could you tell us a little bit about how the idea started to start the Diverse Nature Collective?
Totally. So I have always had a love for nature. I have a background in conservation biology. I went to Trent, but before that, and at a very early age, my mom always took us camping as kids. So I was out in nature camping when I was starting from like 2.5. So, you know, I was camping. I loved being outdoors, hiking, swimming. I was like a fish as a kid. You could never get me out of the water. And I don't know, I have a big, deep appreciation for our natural areas and just being outside and exploring. I had a big love and passion for animals, so I originally wanted to be a veterinarian, but then I came to Trent and fell in love with ecology courses and conservation biology, and so that kind of set the course. And then in terms of my career and where I've gone, so I've worked in a couple of different nonprofits, and so I currently I started as a volunteer, but I'm now a permanent employee at Kawartha Land Trust, and so I'm their conservation coordinator, and I love that job, but something that I guess I've been thinking about over the last couple of years, especially with the pandemic, is just the huge lack of representation in this industry. So in my industry, in land trusts, and just within nonprofits in general. But in this specific line of work, there's such a huge lack of diversity. And annually, every year, we would get invited to this big conference. It's a land trust alliance, so all the different land trusts would get together, and I'd be one of the only diverse faces there. It would be myself and my friend Gary, who's Indigenous, and that's it. And it's frustrating because oftentimes, like, we're having these conversations about protecting land and these spaces, and we're not including diverse voices, and a lot of talk over the last couple of years has happened in society, and given everything that's been going on, but like, the process for change is very slow,
It
And
is.
so I decided, like, I'm just going to start something and see how it grows from there, because, you know, I'm just tired of waiting, and, you know, there's all this red tape, and, you know, you're often, a lot of different organizations and businesses use the excuse of, oh, well, you know, Peterborough is not very diverse. We don't really have diverse communities here, and all of these excuses, which we know isn't true. I'm
Yeah.
gonna just find some folks, connect the community together, and let's get started. Let's just get people outside and engaged with the work, and go from there. So that's kind of what kind of led me to starting
Very
the
cool. And it's very, very important work and very relevant in today's world. And so it really flows really nicely into my next question. So let's talk about the nature gap. Black
Yes.
people experience less outdoor leisure and have less access to both blue and green space. They visit national parks less frequently than white folks and feel unwelcome. So Patricia, could you give us some actionable steps that people can take to address the lack of diversity in outdoor spaces?
Totally. And so one of the biggest reasons why, you know, Black folk and you know, other you know, racialized communities in accessing, you know, nature is they don't feel welcome. Right. So, like, you know, we've heard a lot of stories about, you know, especially over the last couple of years because of the pandemic, people flooding to parks and things like that, and being treated poorly, you know, and this, you know, or being over policed in these areas as well. Right. It makes people afraid, and they're scared to get outside and to do anything that's going to draw attention to them. They're already being looked at a lot by other folks, because you have white folks that, you know, see diverse individuals as people who don't really belong in the space, or they don't see it commonly, so they're just like, what are you doing here, right? And so you're already being judged, and so I think, you know, there's a lot of barriers, and there's a lot of reasons for all of this, but I think some stuff that people can do on an individual level, you know, to be a great active ally is, you know, take your friends out, encourage your friends to come outside and get outside and do these activities with them, help reduce the barriers, you know, lend them equipment. You know, when I first started getting backcountry camping and doing all the stuff, my coworker Tom lent me a ton of lightweight camping stuff because all of the stuff I had was super heavy. So, like, you know, help your friends, not in a condescending way, you know, but help them, encourage them. If they're expressing interest in wanting to do that, do it with them, right? They might feel safer. There's safety in numbers. A big thing, though, is, like, when you're bringing people out, you know, make sure that if you're introducing them to other people that are your friends, make sure your friends are also active allies. There's been a lot of stories that I've heard where they go out with their white friends and they meet their other people's white friends, and these people, you know, are, you know, just making comments that are not appropriate, or, you know, just making them feel super uncomfortable. So make sure, like, you know, the company that you keep are also people that, you know, are active allies, right? Yeah. And, you know, so that's what you can do on an individual level. And then in your workplace even, you know, advocate for training, you know, and different changes, right? Like, really push this stuff forward. Oftentimes, a lot of folks that are working in this field and in the environmental field in general, we're on contracts, right? Short contracts. You don't really want to rock the boat. You're nervous, right? You don't want to bring anything up because people will label you as a problem, and maybe you don't get other jobs, right? And that's a huge barrier for racialized folks who want to advocate for more changes or cultural sensitivity training, things like that, right? So at your workplace, something super easy that you could do is advocate for that, right? So do that. Advocate for training, diversifying, you know, your board, diversifying your staff team, your volunteers, right? You know, there's lots of things that you can do, you know, to be an active ally, or even support, you know, your friends who are bringing this stuff up, right? Be that support, that extra voice, right? So that's what individuals, I think, can do on their level. And then in terms of parks and those places, I mean, it all comes back to training, consulting with diverse groups on how to welcome diversity in meaningful ways, right, and non-tokenizing ways, and you know, just spreading awareness and making these spaces safer for everyone to come out and enjoy, right, and maybe having a zero tolerance policy on, you know, racism and discrimination in these spaces, right?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So to recap, allow people to feel welcome, be an active ally, and speak up, right? Speak up when it's important to do so, whether that's in your workplace or whether that's in your community, especially in outdoor spaces too, and create, I think, more opportunities for people to actually, you know, like the Diverse Nature Collective is doing, right? Getting people outside and inviting those people to feel comfortable with other diverse folks so that they can have that opportunity, connect, and actually relate to one another and feel safe and feel welcome, because that's the best way to do it, is to ensure that people are friends, not foes. So that's awesome. Okay. The next question I have is 10 years from now, you go to a nature area. What do you want to look back and see? What will have changed?
So pretty much what you said, you know, there'll be more visual diversity, right, in these spaces, and you know, the environment will be more welcoming for all, right? And that could look like, you know, more diverse groups coming out and doing programming on the landscapes, right? And that could look like diverse signage that actually talks about the history of the landscape and the indigenous history here, right? You know, and having diverse people actually working at these parks, right? Having that visual representation and just, yeah. I think that's what I'm hoping for in 10 years, and maybe not in 10 years, maybe in the next couple of years, you know, sooner.
Next 2 or 3. That's great. Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing. So my last question for you, Patricia, is what other environmental groups are you excited to see emerge in this space, and how can we pass the mic over to them too as well, to ensure that we continue the conversation, that we can continue to amplify these voices during Black History Month and beyond?
Awesome. Yeah. Two major people that I look up to and I think about often would be Judith, who is the founder of Color the Trails. They've just started an Ontario branch of the organization, or of her business. And Demisha Dennis from Brown Girl Outdoor World. She's Toronto-based, and she works really hard to advocate for BIPOC voices within the outdoor world. So those are two people that are really great examples of that.
Awesome, awesome. We will definitely make sure to tag them in the comments to ensure that the mic gets passed. And Patricia, where can people find you? How can they follow along with the Diverse Nature Collective? Where can they get involved?
Yeah, so you can reach out to me, follow us on Instagram. We actually are super excited and fortunate that this year we will be able to have in-person events, and our first one is happening on Sunday, March 6th. I think it's March 7th, and we're doing it in partnership with Wild Rock. So we're going to be up at Camp Kawartha. Camp Kawartha has generously offered up their space and equipment, and we're going to be taking people out to snowshoe and to cross-country ski. So if you've never done that before, this is going to be a great way for you to come out, and it's for BIPOC folks to just come out, explore nature, learn some new skills, and just to have fun. And so we're going to be launching that this weekend with a sign-up page. So follow me and keep checking in.
That's awesome. Okay, well, once again, thank you so much, Patricia Wilson of the Diverse Nature Collective, for having this conversation and for being the person that we pass the mic to on this Friday afternoon. Okay, everyone, have a great Family Day long weekend and take care. Thanks again.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye. See ya.
Bye.